Hello, I'm Paige West, the author of Strategic Management, the 6th edition. I'd like to take a few minutes here in this short presentation to tell you about the exciting new bundles of my textbook and the strategy simulations from Capsim, Capstone 2.0 and Capsim Global. The combination of the textbook and either one of these simulations provides a powerful and effective way to teach business strategy.
I've been teaching strategy at Wake Forest University for nearly 25 years. Prior to joining Wake Forest, I earned my PhD at the University of Colorado in Boulder, and before that, I spent nearly 20 years in industry. This combination of experiences has informed how I believe strategy actually happens in the marketplace and is most effectively taught. So let me talk for a minute about the philosophy behind my textbook. These ideas then lead directly into the parallel reasons for bundling it with the Capstone simulation. My textbook, Strategic Management, Value Creation, Sustainability, and Performance, is now in its 6th edition, published in 2020. After years of using other strategy texts, I decided to write my own. If you go to our support site at www.strategicmanagement.org, you can read in greater detail about my motivation for this effort. But here's the short version, and I quickly mention here 5 essential values that this textbook brings to you. First, I often found that many aspects of strategy in other texts I used almost appeared as a series of standalone topics, often unrelated to what I had read earlier. In contrast, this text fully integrates the domain. I do this by introducing early on 2 strategic imperatives, value creation and opportunity recognition. These imperatives highlight the tension that exists in strategy, creating value now while planning for the future. Throughout the book and every chapter, we revisit these 2 imperatives. In addition, extensive use is made of the fundamental value chain and resource-based advantage perspectives to tie everything together from beginning to end. Together, these integrating mechanisms make the entire domain of strategy more understandable to students because they can see how everything builds on these core ideas. This book is strongly grounded in strategic management theory, but it also has a very practical, applied bent. Most chapters provide specific guidance on how to put the ideas to use, how to do an industry analysis, how to create a strategy map, how to do a resource analysis, and more. Practical applications help a lot. I'll come back to this in a few minutes since it's right at the heart of using a strategy simulation along with the text. I also devote a full chapter early on explicitly to performance, which few other texts do. By doing so, I set the contract with my students that we are interested in that critical relationship between strategy and firm performance. Dealing with performance right up front makes class discussions richer. Students tend to move from, I think this is what they ought to do, to, I think this is what they ought to do, and I estimate that this is the effect on performance. Well, this is a huge leap in critical thinking. The 6th edition was just published in 2020. The beauty of this digital text is that the examples and illustrations in it are the most current of any strategy text out there. Legacy text publishers must deal with long lead times related to print production, but we don't have this limitation. So when your students open this text, everything is fresh. This text is also value priced. I myself have put 5 kids through college, so I paid textbook fees for over 20 years, and boy, was it expensive. New editions of printed strategy text today can cost over $250. As a digital play, without the burden of physical printing assets and freight, we offer the lowest price of virtually any strategy textbook in the market. For these reasons and more, my strategic management text is now the best-selling strategy title on the leading digital textbook hosting platform in the United States, VitalSource. We've received just terrific feedback from faculty who've adopted this text. You can see a sampling of the comments here from all over the country. They not only find the presentation and unpacking of strategy concepts clear and compelling and useful for their students, but we also have a pricing model that saves a ton of money. One of our adopters at the University of Central Florida wrote to his students that this book will collectively save you all more than $200,000 on text purchases this semester alone. Of course, he had several large sections he was teaching. So let me turn now to the use of simulations as part of a strategic management course. I have great personal experience with strategy simulation. In fact, I introduced it into the curriculum at Wake Forest many years ago and really discovered what a positive difference it makes in the strategic management course. The capstone simulation from Capsim is the latest in this field, and it is state-of-the-art. My strategic management courses are heavily skewed toward case discussions in class. In fact, I've attended case teaching seminars regularly over the years. Cases contribute to the learning dynamic because students get a chance to try out their ideas in the classroom, receive feedback from other students and from me, and eventually find their way to appropriate solution alternatives. The capstone simulation provides the very same learning dynamic, where students try their ideas and then discover how well they work. So my view is that the simulation can add great value in teaching a new generation of students who are really interested in digital apps and gaming. It can work very well in sync with a case discussion class. In fact, students do love simulations. They bring strategic management alive. They make it exciting. They draw students together in their teams. But most importantly, they give students a chance to really see how challenging it can be to integrate various functions across a company, and gives them a chance to practice what they have previously read about and talked about. Now, they get a chance to do it. You can read a selection of comments here on this page that are made about the value that students find in the capstone simulation. But just having students excited and engaged is really only part of the package. At Wake Forest, we've found that simulations really enhance learning and education. Capstone helps students bridge the knowing-doing gap. Trying their hand at making strategy decisions gives them valuable practice and experience. Learning is enhanced through the feedback loops in the capstone program. Shortly after student teams make decisions, they see the results. This usually prompts deeper reflection on cause and effect in preparation for the next round of decisions. Capstone presents what you might call a complete learning solution. This is because within the strategy course, both students and the teams thereon learn. But the data and results from the simulation can also be productively and efficiently incorporated into assurance of learning efforts for your department and your school. These dimensions are all true, whether the simulation is being used for a full semester or a half term, or whether it is used at the undergraduate or graduate level. As I've suggested earlier, my own experience has been extremely positive. I like to tell my students that there are only winners and learners in the simulation. Some teams will struggle a bit more than others, but all will better appreciate the nature of strategy through the experience. I'm very clear with my students that learning strategy is like learning to ride a bike. There's only so far you can go by just reading the manual. You actually have to roll up your sleeves, get on the thing, and try riding it. You may fall down a couple times, but practice helps make you better. The capstone program is also designed in a way that the transition into the simulation is reasonably smooth. This is because it builds on the customary flow of strategic decision-making that we teach in the textbook. Here's the strategic management model from my textbook. As is the case in the text, in the simulation, students will follow the process of analysis, formulation, implementation, evaluation. Capstone's tools provide great opportunity for analysis and integrative formulation. Its alerts and periodic reports foster evaluation, leading to the learning feedback loops. I've mainly mentioned Capstone 2.0 in this presentation because it is the leading strategy simulation in use today by instructors in the U.S. But equally as engaging for students is the Capsim Global simulation. This sim is appropriate when you want to heavy up the international strategy dimension of your simulation. With a bit less complexity on the market segments and product variety dimensions, Capsim Global then adds back complexity from competing in multiple geographies. This includes, for example, differing macroeconomic conditions for different markets, fluctuating exchange rates, decisions about where to manufacture, and more. Finally, Here is a presentation of how either simulation can be integrated into a typical full-semester strategic management course. I've highlighted in red a few junctures showing new phases for the simulation. Most instructors allow for an introduction and learning period, followed by a couple practice rounds. This gives the student teams a chance to become familiar with the program. In this presentation, the competitive rounds start in the 6th week of the term and continue for 8 decision rounds. Then, a final debriefing session provides the chance to reflect back and tie up any loose ends. A fuller syllabus is available to download on the Strategic Management Support site. Well, I hope this short presentation has piqued your curiosity and interest in the text and simulation bundle. You know, trying anything new is always a bit scary and takes a bit more planning initially, but the payoff is terrific in terms of student engagement, learning, and how accomplished you feel about your own teaching. The bundle of Strategic Management, 6th edition, in either Capstone 2.0 or Capsim Global are very attractively priced. See the instructions here to go to the Capsim website to get started, or if you have further questions, the folks at Capsim and I are happy to hear from you. Thank you for your time.